What's going on, everybody? It's Jarrett Bailey of USA Today, and joining me today, four-time Pro Bowl quarterback, one of the biggest innovators in the history, not of just the NFL, of the quarterback position, history of sports, and now studio analyst over at Fox Sports, the one and only Michael Vick. Brother, it's so good to be doing this with you. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm great. I'm doing great. Can't complain.
So, hey, in terms of me, I'm ready for this summer weather to die down. I know you every Sunday we'll see you on Fox NFL Kickoff in Los Angeles, as
Yeah.
we do every Sunday, and I want to talk about that a little bit. Take me through, before the analytical side of things. Your final season playing, 2015 in Pittsburgh. After that season, you made it known that you wanted to keep playing in 2016. That ultimately didn't take place. When did you know that, hey, it's probably done for me as a player, and maybe I should pursue other things outside of football?
It probably wasn't until about I would say 3 or 4 months into my last off season, when I went through the same situation in free agency that I did the year prior, and that was really not getting a call, and stressing about not getting calls and wondering why I wasn't getting the call. And in hindsight, now that I think about it, I know why I didn't get the call, but or for various reasons. And so I just didn't want to go through that again. Like I felt like I deserved, better from a mental standpoint, um, and from just a standpoint of just freeing my mind and not letting football be a consumption of me. And knowing that it was a way that I paved the way for so many opportunities, and I appreciated it. And so I got a lot out of it. I made a lot of friendships, and so it wasn't until about that June, into that free agency time period, I missed OTAs, and it was like another year of that. And I'm like, I'm not putting myself through that. I'm not going to allow my heart to go through that. I deserve better. I had a great career, and it's over. And I told my wife, I no longer wanted to play, and the joy and relief I seen from her made me feel better about the situation. It was like I could move forward in life and figure out what was ahead of me.
Oh, so your wife, was she kind of ready for you to be done at that point too?
Yeah, well, my last season in Pittsburgh, my kids and my wife, they didn't come to Pittsburgh because they got signed late, and
Right.
so they had already started school. And sometimes, man, it's not good for kids once they go to school, start developing friendships and relationships, and then snatch them out of school because of my own personal reasons and opportunities. I just felt like it wasn't fair for them, so I left them behind, and it was difficult. It was difficult for my daughters. It was difficult for my wife, and so once I made that decision that look, y'all got me full time, 100%. I think they was really appreciative of that.
In terms of those last few years, not only with Pittsburgh but your stint with the Jets as well, um, did you kind of feel a progression of being a little bit more than just a player, being a veteran guy, almost like as a backup at that point, being like almost another coach, somebody that guys like Gino could rely on, a guy that Ben could go to when you were in Pittsburgh, just be like, hey, what are you seeing? And just kind of fill him in terms of your experience with, guys that, ended up being really good in the league. Did you feel kind of like, just an extra set of eyes, almost like a quarterback coach on the sideline?
Yeah, I definitely felt like a quarterback coach, especially when I was in New York, with Gino, and just trying to pour into Gino and letting him grow at the same time without being overwhelming and trying to, be the main guy in the room, speaking all the time and talking. I wanted to hear him speak. I spoke a little bit and spoke enough. And then it was different when I went to Pittsburgh. They had a room full of veterans, and so I didn't have to really communicate things as much. We find ourselves saying the same thing over and over again. If we do, we pretty much seeing the same things that's transpiring. So it was more so about learning when I went to Pittsburgh. It's a different system. It was a mixture of systems from a lot of different places, and it was all good stuff. And so I was just trying to get it down. Didn't know I was would play as early, but I was ready for it, and I think I handled it well. Got him a couple wins, and we obviously made the playoffs that season. So I made a contribution, and it was a season well worth it, and the relationships I built, and still being able to text Ben and stay in contact with him, and Coach Randy and all those guys, man. It's just Coach Mike T. It was a great way to go out.
I'm not just saying this because you're here, but growing up a Steelers fan, two plays when I hear the name Michael Vick that stick out vividly in my mind. That bomb to Marcus Wheaton against the Chargers on Monday night,
Yeah,
and you lead blocking for Le'Veon Bell Sunday night against
yeah,
Baltimore.
yeah,
That's I know that's probably not what others think of when they think Michael Vick, but as a Steelers fan, those
yeah.
are my Michael Vick
Those
moments,
are the
Mike.
things you got to do when you're a Steeler, man. You got to be all in. Like, it's not about swag. It's not about the glamour and the glitz. It's about getting it done when you're a Steeler, man. And so, like, I understand what Steeler Nation is all about, and it's blue collar, and that's the way they play.
So take me to 2017 because you're an intern at that point under Andy Reid in training camp. Was being a coach ever something that you had in mind, not just at the tail end of your playing days, but at all when you were in the league? Was that something that you ever thought about?
Yeah, I mean, I always thought about coaching, but tried to decide was what level I would coach on was the difficult part. Always wanted to pour into kids. Always felt like I could be a leader of young men. Um, and that's something that always took precedent in my heart. And so as I'm going through, my days of football, my years, I'm soaking in all this information and all this knowledge. And, now I find myself just coaching guys in the off season randomly right down the street because I know they want to get better. So that was always something that I took into consideration. So that's why I reached out to Andy. Um, Actually, Andy reached out to me. And so
Really?
once he reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in doing the internship and just coming in and just hanging out and just seeing what the coaching life was about, um, I started thinking about, what that career would look like. And so he drafted Patrick and got a chance to spend some time with him and Alex. And we had a good camp until, I got a call from Fox.
And that, oh man, you've been doing this long enough to know what a segue is, my friend, because that is a perfect segue. What
Yeah.
was so enticing about becoming an analyst, and in specific, what was so enticing about doing it with Fox?
Well, I think about the times when I was a kid, and my mom used to always tell me once my career was over that I would become a sports analyst, like a commentator. Like that was her thing. That was her word. And I'm like, Mom, you always think that you know what's gonna happen in my life, and so it was when it happened. It was kind of symbolic because she told me that would be something that I would do, but at that moment in my life, I was pursuing a coaching career and not really thinking about doing TV. And so I'm like, man, it's amazing how God works. It's an opportunity that's sitting right here in front of me right now, and I don't know what it all entails. And I've done some interviews, but I've always been the guy who had the microphone in my face and been asked questions. And now the roles are reversed. I got to entertain an audience, and so it was different. It was live TV. It was a little nerve wracking in the beginning because you try not to make mistakes and you try to be too perfect, and then you figure out like that's just not the way. Be loose and kind of have fun. And so yeah, so I went from thinking that I was gonna be the next Andy Reid, so to say. There's never be another Andy Reid, but following those footsteps to having the opportunity to do TV and Fox, it was special to have that opportunity with Fox. It's like, man, it's Fox Sports. And then I went to Andy and talked to Andy about it. The first person I went to Andy and asked him what he thought. And Andy was like, look, here's what you do. Go call John Madden and go call Chris Berman and talk to them. And so that's how that whole thing started. Even though I was in camp with Andy, he seen the opportunity and he was like, yo, let's, make a push. Let's go.
Tell me about those calls with Chris Berman and John Madden. Then, what advice did both of them give you?
John was just like, Mike, I watched you for years and I always thought you was an exceptional athlete and a great player and always admired you. And he was like, his thing was if you're gonna do it, just work just as hard as in commentating or being an analyst as you would in football. Just work extremely hard And I didn't understand exactly what he was saying. I'm like, man, it's just TV. It's just talking. Like, what type of preparation? And then start going to these, production meetings, and I pre-tape meetings, and what everything the show was going to entail. And I'm like, okay, it is some prep into this, and you got to make sure you're not talking over one another, and a lot of different things, intricacies, and so I thought that was cool. And then I started to think about those conversations over the years with John, and then Chris Berman was just like, yo, I always knew that you would do this, that this would be something that you would do, and that shocked me too. So it was like, just go for it, and learn how to speak with the right etiquette and confidence, and learn to control your breathing, and that was his most important things that he said to me.
Do you think that being the prominent athlete that you were, and like you said, always having the microphone in your face, do you think that helped you in transitioning to being on the other side of the microphone in terms of just what you expected?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when the cameras came on, I really wasn't worried about the cameras or live TV. I was really worried about like just saying the wrong things. Like, how's this going to transition from this desk to the audience? And so I got a little mind boggled in the beginning, and I just found myself like saying the same things over and over again. And then it was like, one day it just hit me, just let it out, just say it. You know what to say, just say it, and play your role. And so it was a fun transition, because I can go back now and look at all my film, and they always gave us feedback, always gave us tape to look at, and so it everything that John had told me was starting to come to. Got to go watch the film, got to make corrections, got to prep. I'm like, this is kind of cool, man. That's what life is all about. And I think when you take those steps, um, in terms of due diligence and preparation, you can find the excellence within it.
Is the prep for you as an analyst similar to when you were a player in terms of studying film and looking over what you expect to be talking about the most, and translating that instead of onto the football field onto breaking it down for an audience?
Yeah, I mean, I take it just as serious. I know it's young men and women who are watching us on TV throughout the week, on the weekends, and they aspire to do what we do. And they don't get to hear us talk about what happens behind the scenes. They only see the finished product. And it was the same in the NFL. People don't see the practice that goes on throughout the week, all the film study and all the walkthroughs, and just all the talking points and detail, and only to give them a good show. And it's the same thing. We prepare the same way. We talk on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and try to drive them points home. And then when the lights come on, it's just like you got a bunch of different areas that you can go into, and just stay within the framework of what we trying to the message we trying to convey, and have fun, man, and smile, and interact, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, I love the preparation part of it, because that's what my life has been for the last 25 years. Is preparation on a daily basis.
USA Today, Jarrett Bailey, joined by quarterback, four-time Pro Bowl quarterback Michael Vick. Mike, I do want to talk about your playing days and how it would translate into today, because you coming into the league out of Virginia Tech, it was something that the league had never seen before. If we put 2001 Michael Vick into a time machine and you came into the league in 2023, how do you think it would maybe differ for the better and maybe for the worse, if that's the way you want to go? But how do you think 2001 Michael Vick would look in today's NFL?
Well, I think it all depends on what system I land in. I think systems really makes a quarterback, and so you see guys who are very talented go places, and you never see them flourish, and it's the game seems hard for him, and people wonder, why was he so good in college and not as good in the National Football League? Or a guy started out as a rookie, did 3 years in one place and then went somewhere else and found success and maybe won a Super Bowl or made some playoff games. It's just not easy. The game is not easy. So wherever you end up, if I land in the hands of a Andy Reid. I'm just throwing some names out there, or Kyle Shanahan. You know, they'll find ways to make use of what I do best, and so I always felt like, coaches make players, players make coaches. It go both ways, and so 2023, I feel like it's all about where I end up, where I get drafted, but still can have an impact on the game single handedly, regardless of what type of system I'm in. It's just what style it's going to be in. It's going to be in the passing game or the run game, and that was the luxury I had.
I think that was a perfect transition to this next question I was going to ask you, because do you think that it's important for, especially like dual threat quarterbacks, that their coaches embrace that side of them? Because I remember watching a clip of Dan Reeves talking about what it was like with you, and I won't get the paraphrasing exactly correct, but he said something similar to, "Hey, if the other team is in man coverage, Mike, they ain't covering you." Did he embrace that side of you more than you were expecting, and how did that embracing of your style of football help you early on in your career?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I really thought that when Dan drafted me, I instantly thought about John Elway. Like, I got to go beat John Elway. But in the same breath, I was like, John used to scramble a lot, and he was a 7, and so it might be a thing there that Dan is seeing, and so once he started coaching me every day, because Chris Chandler was there in the beginning, he had him in the first year. Once he could pour into me on a daily basis, it was always conversations about man coverage and how I could break it down and how you can make them come out of that coverage and how you can make them play. And so he embraced that. I seen a lot of different plays drawn up for me to help me like really put pressure on the defense, whether it was design runs or it was just, Mike, this play, you call your own play. And if you want to add a quarterback draw as a second play, then you can do that. So he embraced that. And so that was a breath of fresh air for me, because there was no pressure to go out and be the perfect pocket passer. It was in 2001, go be the best dual threat that you can be. That's why I drafted you.
In terms of the pocket passing, though, I think that there's a clear and obvious progression in your career compared to late in your Atlanta run and then with your run in Philadelphia with Andy Reid, who you already talked about. How did Andy get the very best in terms of a passer out of you?
Yeah, well, Andy was very similar to me with his coaching style and philosophies as Dan Reeves. Like, they demanded that you do it right, and that you, before you even step on the field, you understand why certain plays are called. And Andy probably put more pressure on me to do things better than any coach I ever had. Dan the same way. Dan he wanted me to know fronts, techniques. Without pouring everything in, putting a lot on my plate, and at an early age, he allowed me to grow. And by the time I got to Andy, I had grown, and it was just like, okay, it was still things that I had to learn that I didn't learn in like year 8 that Andy recognized from the protection standpoint. And so he brought in Howard Mudd, the great Howard Mudd, who worked with Peyton Manning for years in Indianapolis and knew a lot about protections and helped me understand how to, 5-man pro, 6-man pro, 7-man. And this is late in my career, so.
Yeah.
Every situation is different. Every offense is different. So you gotta, it's just a different learning curve. So, the fact that I went through all that give me the experience that I have now to speak on it and the ability to go teach it as well.
In terms of this offense with Andy Reid, you have a firsthand account of knowing what Patrick Mahomes is going through every day. Does it just blow your mind in terms of, you played in this offense, just how well he just adapts to not only, what defenses are throwing at him, but how quickly he adapts to it and just how much he's just set the league on fire?
Well, one, Patrick is really, really talented. I'm talking about like John Elway type of talent. You know what I'm saying? And like, I'm just trying to compare him to somebody like that. You can go, if you watch this interview, you'll go look at his film and, oh, that's Patrick right there. Like, crazy throws, the scrambles, the underhands, like things that you can't teach. You know, John Elway was doing that in 87, 88, 89. And so that's the parallel when I watch Patrick Mahomes, but he just happened to land in the hands of a really great offensive coordinator too, or a great offensive guru. And so when you mesh that together, you get championships or opportunities to win championships because that's what they've had and that's what they're going to continue to have. So you know the talent from the time I was in camp and I seen Patrick, I knew what was happening. It was just a matter of time, and so they're not done. They got a lot of work to do, and they're not finished. They are going after it.
In terms of quarterbacks, you know, who have kind of adapted to the, you know, this dual threat style, it's much more of, I don't want to say requirement that guys can move a little bit, but it's definitely more of the norm today compared to when you came into the league. When do you think, in your opinion, was kind of the, I don't know, the unofficial revolution of guys coming into the league and being more of dual threat guys? Even Trevor Lawrence, he's not the prototypical dual threat, but he can still move a little bit. When do you think this became more of the norm of seeing guys that can move around a lot and in similar ways that you did?
Yeah, well, I got to give credit to the 2010 to 2020 era when Cam came into the league and then RG3 and then Colin Kaepernick and then Russell. You know, Cam played in the Super Bowl. Russell won the Super Bowl. Colin played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And RG3 made the playoffs in this rookie season. And I think in that, you know, 5-year snapshot, you know, from 2010 to 2015, you had a lot of success with dual threat quarterbacks. And so it's funny, I was talking to a friend last night and we was kind of just discussing football. And we always have these, you know, conversations about guys and Bobby Bowden said after our 1999 Sugar Bowl national championship game that the quarterback position will change forever after tonight, and that's where the quarterback position will be trending towards dual threats. And you know, great minds and great coaches, they see things way light years ahead, and so you know that era, you know, I think in that time solidified. Okay, it's a different, not a different breed of quarterback, but it's options that you can have depending on how you want your offense to look.
A long time ago, well, maybe not even that long ago, there was like a stigma, not just around dual threat quarterbacks, but around black quarterbacks. How does it feel for you to be, I don't know, almost a pioneer in this, you know, this type of player, and open doors for so many of the guys like you already named, like a Cam Newton, like a Lamar Jackson, like a Justin Fields in today's game? How does it feel in your eyes to see the black quarterback flourishing?
It feels great because as a kid, that was the one thing that scared me, my position and the color of my skin. And I felt like it would hold me back from being drafted because of just the stigma. But then I was look around the league and you would see a black quarterback here and you might see one there. And then, of course, you know, we was outnumbered, but it was the 1999 draft that I always talk about that changed so much for me and my way of thinking in terms of position. Because I was going to switch my position when I went to college because I just didn't want to deal with
Really?
the political side of it. I'm too talented to be fighting. I know I can make it to the NFL just off pure talent if I go play corner or receiver or running back. And then the 1999 draft happened, and then you get Achilles Smith. You get Donovan as a second pick, who was my childhood idol, one of my idols. And it was Culpepper, Achilles Smith, and Donovan. And then Sean King late. And I'm like, this is unprecedented. This is wow. Like, I got a shot. I really. So it was things that transpired and things that happened that kept me, you know, super motivated and, you know, had me, you know, really feeling like it was an opportunity there. So, you know, just being optimistic that, you know, I don't have to switch positions and I could just stay true to what I'm doing and what I'm doing well. And thank God, man, I made that decision. And thank God that Dan Reeves drafted me number one because that opened a lot of doors.
What was it like for you getting to play with Donovan your first couple years in Philly?
It was fun, man. Donovan was a great dude every day, man. Like he make you laugh. You know what I'm saying? He come in, he's loud. He's one of the loudest guys, but one of the hardest workers too. And he's there at 6 in the morning, getting his workout in, and he definitely was the consummate pro. So I watched him from afar. I always wondered what it would be like to be in the locker room with him. I was always a little envious. I'm not afraid to say this. Always a little envious of Donovan because I used to go watch a lot of film of him in Philadelphia in 2002, 2003, 2004. I used to watch a lot, and I was like, man, this Andy Reid guy just let his quarterback throw it around. And I'm like, man, I'm over here like in the same system, West Coast system, different variations, and still having fun, still winning. We met up in the playoffs in the NFC Championship game once, but I'm like, man, this guy is so lucky to have Andy Reid as his coach, and so I was always fond of those guys from afar, even before they knew me, or even before Andy knew me. I always thought he was one of the best.
It's funny how things work out that way, huh? In terms of this current crop of guys in the league at quarterback, tell me about your relationships with them. Do you keep in contact with them? Do they reach out to you in terms of guys like Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, those crop of guys that are kind of this new era, this new wave of?
Yeah. I just spent some time with Justin Fields a couple weeks ago, Jalen Hurts a couple weeks ago. Got him featured on the project that I'm doing, and it was good to sit down and talk with them and pick their brains about the current state of the position, where they are, progress moving forward, and how they're equipping themselves this year to be the best quarterback for their franchise. And so those guys still keep in touch. They keep in touch. I stay in touch. I always shoot them a text here and there without being too overwhelming. I'm OG. I'm OG to them, so that's what it is.
There's a certain kid in Indianapolis who is being compared to the likes of Cam Newton and Josh Allen. Anthony Richardson named the Week 1 starter for the Indianapolis Colts. What are your thoughts on him as a whole and what his overall potential can be at the NFL level?
Yeah, I think he has the potential to be a great quarterback. Obviously, it's going to be a learning curve. It's not the easiest division now that Jacksonville is a lot better, and Tennessee is going to be stout. The Texans, I expect them to be very competitive. So he's got his work cut out for him, just like any other rookie. But I do like the coach that he's with. I like the offensive play calling. I like the offensive system that he's in now. And I really think that he'll be doing a lot of the things that Jalen Hurts did within the offense in Philadelphia. And so it'll be catered to him. He'll be comfortable. He looked good in his first preseason game, and why not make him the starter? Let him go out there and learn from experience. So year 2, he can be a lot better. Year 3, he can be even better. And hopefully we'll see strides just throughout the season in 2023.
You were in New York for part of your career. Aaron Rodgers now calling New York home. How do you think that not only him, but the entire team is going to handle the New York media, all the eyes on them, but also the expectations that haven't been on the New York Jets in well over a decade?
Yeah, the New York Jets deserve this. They deserve everything they got coming. It's going to be a great season. Can't wait to watch Aaron Rodgers in uniform. I got him making the playoffs without a doubt. I got him having a strong running game, a strong passing game. I know it's questions about the old line, and that'll take care of itself sometimes through the passing game. And the defense is going to be one of the top 10 defenses in the National Football League. That's enough to get into the first round of the playoffs. If they get that, if that happens, then it's a success. And I got mad love for the Jets. Every team I ever played for, I got nothing but love for them. So I root for the Jets, Steelers, Falcons, and Eagles on a consistent basis against anybody.
In terms of off the field stuff, I know you're a busy man. You're plugging your clothing brand right there, your foundation. Tell me fill my brain with everything that you do off the field, because I know it's a very loaded plate.
Yeah, how much time you got?
Hey, I'm yours. I'm yours for however long you want to talk about it, Michael Vick.
Nah, man. You know what, man? First of all, this is all about family. It's about what happens in this household. My wife dictates, our trajectory. I just kind of fall in line. I'm no longer the quarterback. You know what I mean? I'm like the receiver. I'm out wide. I just try to catch the ball and get to the end zone. My kids are doing great. Got a daughter that's going to college, and everybody's happy and healthy, and knock on wood, want to keep it that way. We're working, like you say, working on our foundation, achieving victory, which should be predicated towards prison reform, always aiding and assisting inner city kids, and developing Boys and Girls Club renovations is what we try to do. And also, opportunities that we get in animal welfare, so we focusing on that. Working on a couple of documentaries right now. That's kind of where I'm at in life. Outside of doing Fox, I got a passion for documentaries. So working on a great project, the evolution of the black quarterback, which we just spoke about. It's ironic that you talked about that. Just telling stories, man, just from some of the stories of what guys went through, past, present, future, the state of the game now, and just how we've grown. Just the NFL has allowed us to grow, man, and be a part of something that's so great. And so I'm extremely proud of that project and where it's going. It'll be debuting on Amazon soon. So, that, and like I say, still building the clothing line. We got the shoe coming back, the Vick 6 coming in 2024. I'm excited that it's in production right now, and still building the V7 apparel line. So just a snapshot of a couple of things that we're doing right now. 2024 is going to be amazing. I can't wait to bring the shoe back for the fans. It'll debut around November, December. What the Vick 6 is going to look like. It's real cool. You can wear it with anything. It's athletic. It's urban. You can throw it on with your skinny jeans and sweatpants, and this one gonna shock the world. We also bring the Crocs along with it, the V7 Crocs, which is gonna blow
You got
people's
Crocs?
mind. Man, innovation at its finest right now. Innovation at its finest. Shout out to my man E. Scott Morris, who I worked with for years at Nike, and now we're back together. And so we came together on a collaborative effort to build the V7 apparel line again, and it'll debut 2024 in the spring. So it's a lot to look forward to, and I couldn't be more excited. But excited to go have another great season at Fox, man, and continue to build with Carissa and Charles, and now Julian Edelman will be joining the show, and I don't know if we can talk about that, but yeah, he'll be joining the show soon.
If we can't, I can edit that out, so don't worry.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Well, hey, I'm a size 9. If you want to send a pair of those V6s over to Pittsburgh,
you'll be the first in line, man. I'll make sure you get taken care of.
I'll hold you to that, man. Look, brother. I'm not only saying this because you're here, but as a younger guy who grew up in the 2000s, you were absolutely one of my idols, and I can't thank you enough for letting me tell some of your story. This means the world to me. Thank you so much for letting me do this, and it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely. Likewise.
All right, brother. Take care.